Hi, Wolfpack fans. I'm Jeff Gravely.
I'm Tony Haynes.
And I'm Matt Chasnow.
And this is Pulse of the Pack. What's up, Wolfpack fans? I'm Jeff Gravely along with Matt Chasnow, and I want to just throw this out there right at the beginning before we start talking about the Duke-NC State game. If you're a fan of a school or a team, are you willing to travel in the valley of struggle to get to the peak of accomplishment?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. There's no such thing as a lack of the valley of the struggle. Mm-hmm. That's a fiction. That's a fallacy of myth and legend.
Every team, every program goes through.
There's no such thing as not having it, and you can't have this success without it. And there might be different versions of it and different durations of it, potentially, but that is part of what this is. That is part of the process. So the answer to your question, I feel very strongly about. And I think that's a life thing. Sure. I think that makes you better, you know, but you don't want to do it to yourself in unnecessary ways. You don't want to. We're not masochists. We don't seek it. We're not hopeful for it. And it would be great to win every game. But also, wouldn't that be, I don't know, win every game? Be a little boring.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's not.
It's impossible.
It's not the human condition.
Even the richest of riches NFL and NBA and Major League Baseball teams don't always win.
No, not every game, not every year.
And I bring that up because I know coaches, players, fans have been frustrated walking through this season so far in football and in basketball. Right. But look what you're coming off of. I don't want people to forget what you got to experience last year from a basketball standpoint in men's basketball, where you get to win an ACC championship and go to the Final Four. Relish that. Remember that. And I think it helps in times like this when you can look back at that. It was not going to be like that every year. But what we saw in Durham with NC State playing Duke, I sat there and I'm like, man, this is fun to watch.
Everybody in their top 7 on a rotation is a senior, like that guy, Huntley Hatfield, or a graduate.
But a nice find by Paul McNeil Jr. who can go get one when they need it. And that's the struggle for this team this year. They haven't really had that guy. As they step up and knock down another 3. He's got 10 players in the rotation, so sending the message, whoever defends, and of course, if you can throw in a couple threes, you can find some minutes tonight. At the beginning of this season, they're starting to become a factor for the Blue Dogs.
Oh, and a pretty shot by Parker. Can't hit it. He was wide open, but they'll get a second look. Here's Taylor again. He swishes in another 3. Who are these guys?
These are the guys that went to the Final Four a year ago, OB. You remember, we watched the Wolfpack go to the offensive glass.
A drop. Rebound tip to Hill, and here he comes. Marcus Hill, a well-run break, laid up and in by O'Connell. Nice pass. Billy Brooks in the kick-out styles. They want him to shoot it. Shoot it, he does. And another 3. 13 points. Billy Brooks out of the double. O'Connell splits the defense and lays it in. They're also making a lot of smart decisions.
I thought we had a lot of fight. Was a really good game. And what we talked about is we've been on the unfortunate side of a lot of, wins and losses this year. But our guys, what I told them is, hey, if you can stay consistent and play the way we played tonight, and Duke's good. I mean, Duke's a really good basketball team, arguably the #1 team in the country. I thought we did a really good job, and we had a lot of, in the first half, I thought we had great player and ball movement. I thought we really shared the basketball. We were able to get out and transition. I just thought they made a few more plays than we made, and obviously Cooper is as good as advertised, and I think he's the difference in the game, and if I got Cooper flag, I might win that too, but he's a good player, and I think John's done a good job assembling a really good group of guys around a really good superstar. So, we'll learn from this. We'll try to get better. We'll continue to work. I think our guys understand that we're capable of anything if we continue just to stick together and grind and play good basketball.
It was a fun game to watch.
Well, it's been a disappointing month, but it hasn't been a non-competitive month. I mean, January, as you look at the schedule here, and even back end of December, because that's when league play kind of fired up in earnest, was actually New Year's Eve day in Charlottesville, and that was a 3-point loss. You got a 3-point loss, a 1-point loss, a 2-point loss. You got a 1-point win, which is nice, against Notre Dame. 3-point loss in Blacksburg, right? And games you could have had.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Coca-Cola. Crisp, refreshing, and irresistibly tasty. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling. But what's really made Ford F-Series #1 is you.
Now get up to $11,624 in total savings on select 2024 F-150s, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
All right, Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and monitored 24/7.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security. CPI Security is the official security and smart home company of NC State Athletics. CPI Security. Identify yourself.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
This segment of Pulse of the Pack is presented by Coca-Cola.
Kevin, obviously the objective is always to win, and it's frustrating when you don't. But I'll tell you what, when you got a group of guys that continue to get knocked down and they get back up off the canvas and they continue to persevere, does that show you that you got a group right now that has a lot of pride?
You know what? We, as I always say, this is not a moral victory program, but I mean, we're fighting, what you look at a team when they've dropped a few in a row is how hard do they compete and how hard do they continue to play, even though the result is not, the end result hasn't been that we won games. But I'm proud of our fight. We're not doing everything right. I think one of the biggest, issues with our team is just inconsistent play. You think about last night. Played really, really well, but the play came offensively from really Dontre Styles and Trey Parker. Some of the guys that had been playing well just didn't play well last night. Marcus was 1 for 10. Ben didn't affect the game at all. I thought JT was okay, and that's been one of our issues right now. Is obviously. Getting guys to play well on the same night, and they're working hard, and it's one of those things that we just got to figure out how to get consistent. The good thing about it is we could be very dangerous if we can get the consistent play, but we've been, when you look at the box scores, it's been, this guy plays well, the other guy plays well. We shoot it well, we don't shoot it well. So we just keep on working. We're going to keep on working. We're going to keep on plugging away. And, whether you like the results or not, you have to like the grit of the team. And that's what we're doing is we're fighting and trying to figure ways and preparing the right way and everything else,
You were complimentary of Cooper Flagg after the ball game. Did Dontrez Styles stick right with him? Was he right there with one of the best players in the country?
Yeah, I thought Dontrez was very effective. If you look at the first half snapshot of what we did, I thought he did a good job on him. I thought we were physical without fouling, and certainly in the second half, those were a lot of fouls called on us. And when Dontrez, who's having a really good game, has to go out of the game, it kind of changes us a little bit. It changes us who has to guard Cooper, and then obviously on the offensive end, we lost a guy who was playing really well that day.
Great start indeed. 13-point lead. Before that, a 12-point advantage. I'm kind of looking at the first half stats for NC State and the way that the Pack was really moving the basketball and getting really good shots in that first half against Duke. 10 assists on 15 made baskets in the first half. And in many ways, did it remind you a lot of the first half at Virginia and the first half at Virginia Tech?
Well, I think it was a little bit different because, the way we did it, like we got out in transition. We moved the ball, we made threes. It was a combination of a lot of things. I thought at Virginia Tech and both at Virginia, it was different. We did get a lead, but this one was different because everybody shared the ball, and you could see the confidence growing as we started scoring the basketball. And, I just, at the end of the half, I think kind of shifted a little bit momentum. They missed a call. I mean, they certainly threw the ball out of bounds, and we could have been up at least 7, and if we scored maybe even 9 or 10, and then the guy gets an and one, so we go into halftime with the shift of momentum, and obviously that we were up, I think, 4 at that point.
So against Kansas, the way they got back in the game, made it competitive after a 15-0 start, was hammering the Jayhawks inside and getting to the free throw line. That was in Allen Fieldhouse. So that was on the road in, a storied road venue. And then you go to Cameron Indoor Stadium and you pound it inside in a physical game. Mind you, you shoot the ball really well early, but still a physical game, and you have 0 free throw attempts until 11 minutes to play in the game. Not the first half, the game, which was a little jarring to look at the box score. I've seen it one other time in about 20 years. It was in Eugene, Oregon. I'm not saying Matthew Knight Arena is Cameron Indoor Stadium, but the Ducks went to the Final Four in 2017, and they're a good team. They were competing for the league at the time, the old Pac-12, and same deal. No free throws for the visiting team at that time till very, very, very late in the game. Just changes the way you play the game.
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not get fouled that much.
NC State goes up an 11 with a Michael O'Connell drive to the basket. 1:44 to go in the first half.
Late, yeah.
Yeah, State's up 11. We go to half, and it's a 4-point game because of what Kevin Keats said, and I think most of us would agree, a missed call. Ball thrown out of bounds by Knipple. It's not reviewed. It's not challenged. It's not anything. Duke gets the ball, they get an and one, and it's a 4-point game at half.
Right.
That's a pretty critical point because it bled into the second half. When you total up the first half run and with the second half run, it was a 19-0 run by Duke after NC State had taken an 11-point lead with 1:44 to go.
You go into the half, 37-33 is the score after that 3-point play you mentioned from Sion James for Duke. He wouldn't have had that opportunity if that call went NC State's way. The Pack was up 7. Had that call then gone their way, what if they're up 10? What if they're up 9 or 10 at the half? Feels a lot different. A double-digit halftime lead. Does it decide the game? Maybe, maybe not. Hard to know. But it's a single possession ball game at the under 4 of the second half. And so it's hard not to look back on what felt correctable in terms of possession changing, and every possession matters.
How many times do we see during a game in basketball and football the previous play is under review? There have been a couple of times this year where NC State has not received even the benefit of having a play review. The end of the game, goaltend, non-goaltend call against Washington for that bucket. And then this one, end of game, end of half, man, you got to take a look at those things. You can't be so sure when we look at everything during the game. when it's ongoing. But to me, the most critical times to look at a play is at the end of a half, at the end of a game.
Yeah, it makes you wonder because the NBA wanted to stop being so herky-jerky. And so they went to the coaching challenge method where a coach gets 2 challenges. If they're correct, they keep it. And if you're incorrect, you lose it. But otherwise, they're not going to review unless it's late, unless it's under 2 minutes. And it's an interesting way to do it, at least. Often the college game copies. The pro game takes a little while. Wondered that about special teams for college football, right? Will we see kickoffs change?
That's going to happen.
And in this instance, you wonder if there'd be a way for Coach Keats to leverage and mandate a review.
Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and monitored 24/7.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security. CPI Security is the official security and smart home company of NC State Athletics. CPI Security. Identify yourself.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling. But what's really made Ford F-Series #1 is you.
Now get up to $11,624 in total savings on select 2024 F-150s, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
Great start by the Pack, and particularly Dontrez Styles. He is one of the guys that had played in Cameron before. Ironically, he was at North Carolina when they ended Coach K's home career at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Dontrez was a freshman at North Carolina, so he's played there before. I was not surprised to see that he was comfortable in that environment. I was surprised to see Trey Parker as comfortable as he was, but I think once he hit 1 and once he hit 2, then all of a sudden he's unlocked and he's playing with house money.
How long has he waited for that moment in his life? I mean, that specific moment, right? Trey Parker from Fayetteville goes into Cameron Indoor and starts 6 of 6 with 15 points in his true freshman campaign.
Let's talk about Trey Parker for a second, because he was offensively just putting the ball in the hole, right? And that was a new Trey Parker in terms of putting the biscuit in the basket this year. How good was he in Cameron Indoor?
Well, I think he was aggressive, and I like that part about him. He's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Trey, initially everything was home run plays, and I had to make a spectacular play. And we've talked about just being consistent, being really a really solid guard, and the game will come to you. And we needed his quickness. We needed his ability to get by people. He made shots. He was good. He had one, I thought, couple turnovers at the half where, he just lost track of it, looking over for a play instead of running it. And then he had a moment where he turned it over a couple times, but that's okay because the way he played and how hard he played, you can respect that part of it. And hopefully this will give him confidence to continue to get better. I've said it, the 3 young dudes are starting to, through hard work and practice and getting, shots up every day, are starting to grow. And, they wasn't doing it early in the year. They wasn't prepared to play. Everybody's like, where are the young guys? They just wasn't ready for games. And you can see them, now that we're, 7 games into ACC play. starting to play better, and I was happy for Trey.
All right, Paul McNeil came in, gave you some inspiring minutes against SMU on Saturday. Last night, right away, bang, 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 3 assists. Now, Paul McNeil in high school, it was score, score, score. But he made some really nice passes when he got in the game in the first half. Is he expanding his game and maybe changing his mindset about basketball now?
Well, I think he is expanding. He's always been a good passer, but what I like about him is he's got great size, so he's able to see over people and make some plays. He's just getting better. Paul played in a smaller high school where he was really good. But I think now, because he's in college and it's more competition, he's starting to adjust to the speed of the game, to the physicality of the game. And it took him a little time. And, I just think he's starting to get into college basketball shape. Yeah.
Okay, so Clemson Saturday, good Tiger team, comes here to Raleigh. Trey Parker has a great game in Cameron Indoor. Mentioned Paul McNeil last couple of games has played well. To what degree do you envision a shift in minutes or playing time adjusting in Trey Parker, who came out there and played well? Does he play more? Does Paul play more? Does Bryce play more? Do you shift some things around at all as we get to February?
I just hope they continue to grow in practice. Obviously we got 2 days, and practice time for those young guys are more valuable than the veterans, because every moment they get a chance to learn and get better. And, certainly I hope that their minutes will increase, but a lot of it will come down to how they practice. There's not a lot of difference, when in our roster when you get into 8, 9, and 10. It's like, all right, you got to figure out who's playing well that day or who's practicing well that week to be able to play in the game.
Trey Parker may have emerged at Duke.
And I think that's the one thing that we get to see some practices, but fans at home don't get to see any of them. You don't know how these players are practicing. I can tell you at the beginning of the year, some of the freshmen looked lost on some defensive switches, and if defensively you're not ready to play, you're not going to get to play. And so I think there is a process when you're a freshman. But I think now what's so neat to see over the last few games is McNeil, is Parker, with Hurd. I think you're seeing them start to earn more minutes, which is something Coach Keats has talked about. And how do you earn minutes? You find a way to contribute when you get in, and you also do it in practice.
Yeah, the practice part is the crucial element to it. That's where the competition is. So if they practice well, they're going to play. And look, they're 2-7 in the ACC. Why not? Right? I think there's a little bit of that too, and I think Coach Keats sort of reflected that in the coach's show. But he's not just going to do it to do it.
Right.
You got to go earn it, right? You're not going to dislodge Michael Oak. He leads the ACC in assist-to-turnover ratio. And Trey Parker was in there because he can shoot it, and he's explosive, and he's really quick. He's a lot of positive attributes. But if he's not practicing well, he's not going to dislodge the guy who went to the Final Four last year. That doesn't make any sense. But if he's playing better in that moment, and the competition's rising his level up, then yeah, he is going to play more.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Carolina Ford Dealers. See your Carolina Ford dealer, proud sponsor of NC State Athletics.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling. But what's really made Ford F-Series #1 is you.
Now get up to $11,624 in total savings on select 2024 F-150s, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Mr. Wolf, you're all set. Complete perimeter protection installed and monitored 24/7.
No matter who you root for, we can all identify with the best in smart home security. CPI Security is the official security and smart home company of NC State Athletics. CPI Security. Identify yourself.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Coca-Cola. Crisp, refreshing, and irresistibly tasty. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide. Transition to women's basketball where Coach Westmore and the ladies will travel to Wake Forest on Thursday night. They're fresh off of a blowout win over Virginia Tech here at Reynolds Coliseum, and then they had a struggle at Syracuse, but was able to pull that one out. So still playing well are the Wolfpack women. And then next Monday night, they will host their always emotional Play for K game, and it happens to be against Duke, a ranked team from the ACC. Sanaya Rivers, in that game against Virginia Tech, she scored 17 points, which helped her reach a milestone of 1,000 career points, what she's earned here at NC State, what she earned as a freshman at South Carolina. Got a standing ovation. The crowd recognized her for the accomplishment during the game. She had a big old smile, and I loved her quote after the game. She said, "These fans love and support me even when I have a donut and score nothing." I couldn't be happier and more appreciative. We congratulate Sanaya Rivers on joining the 1,000 point club, something that Isaiah James did earlier in November. So men's basketball, women's basketball. Let's talk a little football because the schedule came out for NC State. Now, we don't know times of all of them yet. But we do know,
and we may not for a week before the
exactly.
Kids, so
we do know who and where, and if you look at the thing that jumps out to me, obviously having the game with East Carolina moved to Thursday night to open a year. Oh, under the lights of Carter Finley. You love the juice of the Western Carolina Thursday game.
Yeah.
You wait till you see this game.
I can't wait.
Particularly with what happened in the bowl game.
Yeah, well, right, back-to-backers against the Pirates, with the Military Bowl and the fallout of that, and they won that football game, and it was an odd ending to it.
Sure.
Is a way to put it. Coach Doran was not happy, and now you get the rematch, and you get it in the regular season to start off the year on a Thursday. 2 Thursday games and a Friday. 2 byes all after October, but before Thanksgiving. So kind of like last year. You get 2 byes, not to end the year, but 2 byes in like a 4-game stretch. ECU, and then a non-conference game. I'm doing air quotes for the podcast. ECU, then non-conference against Virginia. That's home. Then you go to Winston-Salem, you go to Durham, home for the Hokies, then Campbell, right?
So the first 6 games are all in the state of North Carolina.
How about that? That's right.
It's good for the travel budget.
That's great.
And also good for the travel budget. They do not have to go to any of the newcomers this year. They don't go to Cal. They don't go to Stanford. They don't play against SMU. They do get to play at Notre Dame. So you look at the last 2 games on NC State's schedule, both at home.
Yeah.
One against Florida State.
Friday.
One against North Carolina and Bill Belichick to end the season.
How about it?
That's a really good schedule.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. ECU, Virginia, Wake, Duke, Virginia Tech, Campbell, at Notre Dame, at Pitt, home for Georgia Tech, and then at Miami. That's going to be hard. And then home for Florida State and home for North Carolina.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, spring ball will kick off here pretty soon. Yeah. We do know the spring game is on April 4th. That's a 7 o'clock on a Friday night. Not guaranteeing, but more than likely that will be on the ACC network. That is also during the Final Four weekend, I believe. So a lot going on there. But, I was encouraged by what I saw at Cameron Indoor for NC State men's basketball. I know there's a level of frustration. You can see it. You can feel it. But you saw a lot of smiles. You saw a lot of happiness. And you saw guys busting their tails, which they have done consistently. That's the one consistent thing that they have done. They have showed up and played every single game.
Max effort. I think you see that in the way they guard. And the offense has been negotiable.
I like that adjective. I like that. Well, Chaz, thanks for your time, and we appreciate yours as always for tuning in.